Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to play with something that I find to be extremely exciting. And if you follow the channel, you know I love 300 Blackout, right? And so 300 Blackout has been making quite a few inroads. I think it's one of the larger online ammunition retailers made a post on Twitter recently saying that 300 Blackout is the third most common cartridge they sell on their website. So it's really taking off in popularity, and for good reason. I've documented for many videos why I think the 300 Blackout is such a great cartridge. So in essence, you have super and subsonic capabilities. It really lends itself well to suppression, and that's what makes it really kind of cool. But 300 Blackout, the way it's been designed, has some pretty significant pressure differences between the subsonic offerings and the supersonic offerings. They use a very truncated gas system because it's designed to operate in a shorter gas system if you're using something like an AR-15. And so it's been a little bit difficult to get it to work in guns like the AK until now. This is the new PSA, or Palmetto State Armory Krink. This one is in 300 Blackout. They recently went on sale, and I was lucky enough to sit there and hit reload every 10 seconds until I caught one in stock. And then I bought one of the first ones. This one has the gloss plum furniture on it, the SB Tactical triangle side folding brace. It is a handgun. And on the end of it, we have a Putnik resilient suppressor. And on top of it, this is just a Russian prism sight, no magnification, has an etched reticle in it, and that's attached to the side using the accessory rail. And we'll go over the features of the gun, but what's really cool, how they got this to work so reliably with subs and supers, suppressed and unsuppressed, without putting an adjustable gas block on it. The gas system is this hybrid system that is really cool. And so we're going to show you what that hybrid system looks like and show you the testing that we've done with the gun using supers and subs. So right now I have some AAC ammunition in here. This is some of their 125 grain stuff. So these are supers. Use a standard 5.56 magazines. And check this little guy out. That is super cool. Yep, that's awesome. So those were supers. We will put some subs in there and show you how quiet this thing is. It is an AK, so you got that big bolt and carrier slapping around in there. But that gas system is what just really intrigues me about this pistol. So let's take a closer look and talk about the new 300 Blackout Krink from PSA. A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below. The AKS-74U, also known as the Krink or Krinkov, we'll just go with Krink in this video, is a very popular firearm, right? So this one is manufactured completely in the United States and in the Carolinas. Just an absolutely really nicely made firearm. I've been following the development and the generational changes to the PSA AKs, the Soviet arm type products and things like that they produce. They have a bunch of different company names, including AAC, which is the ammunition brand of some of the 300 Blackout ammo that we have out here. All that's in the family of PSA owned companies. And so very cool firearm. Now, this isn't your average AK, AKM. This has some changes to it, like the hinging top cover. You don't have a lever over here on the side of the block to remove your gas tube. Of course, it's very small, has a truncated long stroke gas piston in there. And so it's just a very popular firearm. And so it's really cool to see this thing in 300 Blackout. Now, 300 Blackout, some people have said, is like the American 7.62x39 or the 7.62x39 at home. But it has some qualities to it, and the guns around it that have been designed for the 300 Blackout have some differences to them versus something in 7.62x39. And we'll talk a little bit about that in today's video because, yes, there are subsonic 7.62x39 cartridges out there. Now this stuff is gone because of Russian sanctions and probably will never be back, but there's boutique ammo loaders out there that'll make Subsonic 7.62x39. It's not affordable, but it's out there. And of course you can roll your own if you're a reloader. But 300 Blackout was designed from the beginning to be a subsonic capable cartridge that's also capable of supersonic velocities, and that gives it a slight difference and advantage in my mind over the 7.62x39 in a firearm like this. The thing that's really held back the development of 300 Blackout AKs is that gas system. You can't just use a standard AK gas system and get away with it, because you have as low as 18,000 PSI operating pressures for the subsonic loads, all the way up to 55,000 plus PSI for the supersonic loads in 300 Blackout. So that's a big difference in those gas pressures. And that's why you see on like ARs that are 300 Blackout, they have a really short gas system on them. And then also because they're tapping gas off early for those lower pressures, but you usually have an adjustable gas system. Think the SIG Spear or the 300 Blackout Rattler or something like that. You have that switchable gas block so you can adjust between supers and subs, or suppressed and unsuppressed. What PSA has done with this is made a hybrid gas system. And we've seen the gas system before in the Hack 7 rifle, but it's a hybrid gas system, and we'll talk about that when we take the gun apart. So it's worth noting that with 300 Blackout ARs and Stanag magazines, because of the ogive on the subsonic cartridge versus the supersonics, get these side by side here, but you should be able to see it. The ogive is the shape of the bullet, and the 220 grain subsonics, because they're larger in mass, they have more lead in them, that shoulder of where it tapers comes further forward towards the point of the bullet. And if you take a look at the subsonic, which is lighter, 125 grain bullet, it's more narrow. And that ogive, that little bulge right there at the top of the bullet on the subsonics, makes it not want to stack properly in a standard AR-15 5.56 magazine. That's why we have 300 Blackout specific like PMags and standard 5.56 PMags. The 125 grain supersonic type bullets will load just fine into a Stanag magazine all the way up to 30 rounds. The subsonics, you can get them in there, but the closer you get to 30 rounds, the more stacking issues they have in the magazine, and they become unreliable and have all sorts of problems. But that's why you use a 300 Blackout magazine, which will use both supers and subs. And so that's not something that you have to worry about with these 5.56 AK mags that PSA is making with these guns. They'll load supers and subs equally well to full capacity, and they'll work just fine. All right, so let's take a look. This is the Resilient Putnik can. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew it here really quick, and I'll show you what the gun looks like out of the box. And this is really cool too. So obviously the gun was designed to be suppressed, and rifles like this have a barrel, and then they have a little gas block and muzzle device that is pressed on over the barrel and then pinned in place. A lot of the comm block countries don't take the time, they don't care about making sure this is aligned with the center of the bore. So putting a suppressor on isn't really one of their primary concerns, but with 300 Blackout in the American market, it most certainly is. Having that alignment for these threads being concentric to the bore, that's important, so you don't strike a baffle. And these things, when we put an alignment rod in here, when we put this Resilient can on here, it was perfect alignment. The rod was perfectly centered. Very tough to do, but they did it. And so, yes, these are designed to be used with suppressors. Now, this is what they would normally look like. So it has this little booster that would normally be on there on the 24mm threads. Has a little detent over here and all that stuff for it. But I'm going to put this on here just to show you guys. Let's see if I don't think I can get another revolution out of it. No. I'm going to show you guys in its factory configuration that it will cycle both supers and subs. It does not need the additional back pressure of a suppressor to keep it working. And this is something we've seen other 300 Blackout firearms have issues with. So let's grab some of these 125 grain supers here really quick. I'll put 5 of these in there. 5 supers. We'll get 5 subs. These are Federal 220 grain subs. I love Federal ammunition. They do sponsor us with ammunition here at the channel. They send it to us for free of charge. And We love that stuff. Good stuff. So we have 5 rounds of subs, 5 rounds of supers. Subs go first. Put my ears on here really quick. All right, subs first. All right, so Subsonics, very low pressure, and the gun is cycling flawlessly. It's kicking those empties out with authority. Now it just chambered its first super, 125 grain. So as you can see, the gun works perfectly with supers or subs. And so how do they accomplish that? Glad you asked. Let's take a look inside of the gun here next. I've always loved the Krink style firearms. They're just really, really good looking, a lot of fun to shoot, and this 300 Blackout's just entirely too cool. Shoot those AKs really quick. So the thing, now those are Supersonics, those are 125 grainers, but you know, I can run this thing full speed. I don't get hammer follow, so it just tells me that it's operating as it should. Many times if you're using underpowered ammunition or if the gas system's not delivering enough gas to the system, I can overrun the AKs because the bolt and carrier have slowed down considerably. As you can see, I'm firing at full speed there, and the thing is doing quite well. Got some 220 grain subs from Federal in here. Entirely too cool, truly. All right, so let's take a look inside of the gun. First, we're gonna make sure it's empty so the magazine has been removed. Pull the bolt back, check that chamber. No brass, gun's clear. All right, first thing we're gonna have to do, because this top cover hinges up, is take this optic off. And these Russian sights have quick detach capabilities. So now you're just gonna push in the rear button here, hinge up the top cover, take out your recoil spring, take out your bolt and carrier. You can see it's just standard Krink off fair there. Go ahead and take the bolt out for you so you guys can see that. All right. And then the cranks, when the top cover is up, you can just lift the gas tube out, and then we're going to see the hybrid gas system. So the gas system has the gas block back here. Keep in mind, this is the right spot for 300 Blackout. On AR-15, the gas block is going to be very close to the chamber area because it's tapping gas off early to get enough gas pressure to operate the action with those subsonic loads. So they put the gas block back here, but obviously they didn't want a gas rod that long on their 300 Blackout AK, right? They wanted a regular size carrier. So they tap the gas off. They use what looks like a cut AR-15 gas tube. It comes back into here underneath the front sight gas block, goes in here, dumps the gas into the gas puck up here in the front. That would be a standard configuration, right? It dumps the gas in there, and then it acts upon that long stroke piston. Yeah, I should probably put the bolt on it so it doesn't get hung up on the hammer. Stop. You will behave. And there it goes. So it taps that gas off, that gas tube dumps the gas into here, and it's just as if it tapped it off on the end of the barrel. Dumps it in here, gas expands, and drives the bolt carrier rearward, pushing on the front of that gas piston. So that's how they accomplished it. Really, really cool. And so, again, I think that's just a standard AR-15 gas tube that they've cut to do that. So that's how they pulled it off. And to me, that's really, really cool. Now, I did see some folks online when I posted some pictures on X. People were saying it's dumb, doesn't make sense, why do that? Yet it's fine, comrade. No, it's not yet fine, comrade. For 300 Blackout, you had to do something. Either put an adjustable gas block on it, but if you're tapping gas off all the way out here towards the end of the barrel with a Subsonic 300 Blackout, it's probably just not going to get enough gas in the system, even with an adjustable gas block. And so that's why they've done this. Absolutely genius, works flawlessly, and absolutely love it. I'm not going to go into details of, AK designs and stuff like that. We've done a million videos on AKs, and so have other people. So no need for that. I just wanted to show you that gas system. All right. But externally, outside of just seeing that little hint of a gas tube there, you just can't tell that it has that hybrid gas system in it. So, very cool. Now, if you look at the markings on the gun, you can see that it has, the full auto marking. It's semi-auto. There's no full auto capability. And then all the way down for semi-auto. If you look at the finish, nice, clean finish. The wood looks beautiful on it. We'll take other furniture if that's what you want to put on there. And there are a number of different versions of these that they've sold already. One of them I think is really, really cool. And I think it's Sure Shot makes the chassis system. They will be sending me some of their chassis. We're going to put them on some AKs. But the chassis system looks really, really sharp on here. And again, that's offered as an OEM option from PSA. So there's a bunch of different configurations. You can get, different handguards, different color handguards. You can get aluminum handguards. You can get the chassis system. There's just so many options they launched this thing with already. And so old world technology like stampings and stuff like that, originally for militaries and governments, was an affordable way to manufacture firearms, but today in 2024, it's actually more expensive to manufacture a quality stamped firearm in the United States than it is just to hit print on a piece of aluminum and spit out an AR-15 upper and lower. And so it's just not possible to make these as $300 guns. And even if they did, they would be such cheap junk, you wouldn't want one. And so they're going to come to market right around $11.99 for the version you see here, but they can go up from there if you get a chassis system on it. And of course, they're going to sell their blims and stuff like that as time goes on, and they'll be a little bit less than that. I think I've seen some of the blims out there on the Krinks going for like $9.99 or something like that. So there will be, various price points that you can look into. Now, as I've mentioned, I think already in the video, if not, I'm about to do it now, we have this triangle folding brace on here, and this is attached via a 1913 adapter. But if you look right here, it has the facilities for a regular triangle folder or polymer folding stock if you Form 1 this thing. So you pull this little adapter out, and then you'll be able to pin your stock to this mechanism, and then you'd have just a standard folding stock. On top, you can see we have standard Krink type sights, and then no adjustments back here. Windage and elevation adjustable up front, standard Krink front sight block there. The ribbing looks really good on the top cover. The finish is outstanding. Here's your latch. So if you do Form 1 it and get a proper stock on it, it'll fold over and latch right there like it should. We have the accessory rail, which I've already demonstrated works just fine. So just really, really nicely made. I've had a lot of good luck with the PSA AKs. They've evolved nicely over the years. This does have forged components in it, so the bolt and carrier, all that stuff is going to be forged, which is going to give you that durability you're looking for in an AK. And yeah, so let's do some more shooting with it. We do have our little Garmin Zero out here, and I want to talk a little bit about the velocities and stuff. We have an 8.4-inch barrel. It does have a 1-in-7 twist in it. And so that 1-in-7 twist is going to allow you to shoot, some rounds that might not fare so well. We've damaged a can using some 110 grain Hornady VMAX type bullets with the polymer tips on them. They've come apart with a faster 1-in-5 twist rate and some 300 blackouts like the SIGs. And it's stripped the jacket off the lead and caused the bullet to fragment in the can, damage the baffles, and had to send the can out for repairs. So with this 1-in-7 twist, it's not going to be a problem. The 8.4-inch barrel, pretty much standard fare for AKS-74U like this rifle. Very, very good. All right, so let's get some velocity data. Go ahead and turn on my Garmin here. And we'll start a new session. We will do rifle, and we're going to do subsonic. All right, so we'll load up some subs here really quick. This sight sucks. It's horrible. It's like looking through binos backwards. It's not supposed to have any magnification. It has reverse magnification. And then these covers, just when you're walking around with the gun, they flip up and somehow find their way onto the optic. All right. So 971 feet per second on that first shot. 978. 965, 938, 953. All right, that's empty. So that gives us an average velocity of 961 feet per second. Yeah, not too bad. So well under the 1050 that needs to be at for subsonic travel downrange. All right, so let's do 5 rounds of these. These are the 125 grainers. Supersonics up, AAC, 125 grain, 5 rounds. (2014 feet per second). 2005. 2011. 2035. 2026. All right, so that gives us average of 2018 feet per second. 2,000 feet per second, 125 grain bullet. So that gives you energy a little south of 762 by 39. So with supers in there, you're going to do just fine. Now, again, we've already demonstrated the gun works just fine without a suppressor, supers, and subs, and it's working just fine with a back pressure can on it because it has baffles in it. It's not a flow-through can, but it's a large volume can. But it's working just fine with both. So it doesn't seem to be overgassed, doesn't seem to be undergassed. Now, I will say that obviously with the supers, that higher gas pressure, it does have more recoil to it. But if you watch the gun work and eject with the subsonics, it's working just fine. It's kicking them clear of the ejection port quite effectively, so it's not like the gun's running in a state that would cause it to malfunction easily. All right, so now one thing I did want to point out is that I don't have my Bulgarian Krink that has about an 8-inch barrel on it. This one has a 2-inch longer barrel. This is my Draco, my very first SBR. But the reason I brought this gun out is because I want to shoot some 7.62 by 39 out of it. But one of the things I wanted to show you guys is that using Russian subsonic ammunition without a silencer, so we can't, you know, add gas pressure to the system with the silencer, just running this gun with subs, the gun doesn't work. At least it hasn't. So I'm going to grab an AK mag here real quick, and then I'll show you how this Draco doesn't seem to work too well. All right, so I'm going to put 5 rounds of the Subsonics in here. Set that one aside. These are 196 grain Subsonics. Not even trying to cycle the action. It comes back like that far, it looks like. Okay, so now what I didn't do is show you the velocity on that. So let's get some velocity data here really quick. .966. .931. .1018. So an average velocity of 972 feet per second. So we're getting about the same velocity, but it is not as heavy of a bullet, right? So 24 grains lighter bullet than the 300 Blackout loads that we were shooting. So the gun just doesn't work. Now, it may work with the can on it. I do have a full-size AK that has a Wolverine can on it that does cycle these, all right? It's very, very finicky, but it will cycle them. So there's the big difference, because, you know, some of the comments I saw when I was posting pictures of the new PSA Krink pistol on X, people are saying, well, just get 7.62 by 39. That's just dumb. Why would you do that? 7.62 by 39 has subsonic offerings. Yeah, but it's not designed to work with subsonic ammunition. You have to make modifications, hence the modified gas system of the PSA Krink and 300 Blackout. So overall, I'm really impressed with the quality and functionality of the new Krink from PSA and 300 Blackout. Again, there's a number of different options that are available, so I'm sure there's something out there that appeals to you. Again, the price is going to be, I don't know, $11.99. It goes up and down from there depending on the options and things like that. But that's what I paid for the one that you see here. And I did buy this. I literally sat there because they go, whenever they put stuff up for sale on the opening day, you have to sit there. They'll say like, it's going to be 4:30. And so right at 4:30, you got to sit there and start hitting the reload button every 10 seconds. And then when it pops in stock, quickly go through the buy process because somebody else will buy it before you. Somehow I've had people get stuff out of my cart because I wasn't quick enough entering my credit card information. But I got really lucky. I didn't think I was going to get one, but I got one. And so, yeah, very, very cool guns. And if you guys have any questions about this particular firearm, of course, you can ask those questions down below. I do try to stick around for the first couple of days after a video goes live to answer any questions you guys may have. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms channel so we can continue to bring you content like this, consider becoming part of our Patreon family. There is a link in the video description below. Also, right here on YouTube, you got the thanks and subscribe button underneath the video player you're watching right now. Hit either one of those buttons. You can help support us here on YouTube in the age of demonetization. Please swing by, check out Copper Custom. Thank you for 16 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.